Hello and welcome to Across the Acres, a Beck's Hybrids podcast, where our goal is to connect, challenge, and inspire each and every one of you by interviewing others who have a story or message to share. My name is David Ringer, and I'm joined today by my ever-faithful host, Morgan Fitch.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I just called you host.
I know. That was weird.
I've downgraded you.
I wouldn't call it a downgrade.
From
Does that come with a pay bump?
Engineer to host. That's a way downgrade.
I don't know.
So forgive.
I forgive you.
Thank you. Yeah, but today we also have the one and only Brad Fruth.
Thanks, guys.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me. This might be the last podcast, but thank you very much. We'll go out with a bang, guys.
There you
Only
go.
because you'll get fired for what you say?
That's right.
Okay, fantastic. At least we only have it on audio, video, and photo proof.
That's right.
So it'll be really hard to deny what you said here today.
Yep.
But hey, what's your title at Beck's Hybrids now?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Okay.
So currently I serve as the Director of Innovation, or as I tell people, also the corporate scapegoat. So if something goes wrong here around Beck's Hybrids, somehow it was probably my fault.
Okay, so if we are out of a job, and by we I mean Morgan and I, because that's all we care about, it's your fault.
Probably somehow. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, this is good to know. Because, my wife, Kate's going to be calling saying, Brad, we needed a paycheck.
Yeah, well, we all know that this is David Ringer's world. We're just living in.
That is very true. If you're the scapegoat, why don't we have a bathroom out here yet?
Yeah.
Well, that's a long
Innovation.
story of which we don't have enough. We don't have
All
enough
right,
time.
fair.
I mean, tell us more about you, though, family.
Yeah, no. So I'm quickly becoming the old guy in the back of the office, but I started here at Beck's a long, long time ago in a land far away. So I actually started as an intern. So I'm what some have called a Beck's baby. So this is the only job that I've ever had, and this is the only place that I've been blessed to work at. But started out actually as a computer intern. So as the folklore and the story go, I went to Purdue. Answered a flyer on the third floor of Conoy for a marketing intern. Actually, back in 2001, 2002, the entire marketing was all done by an intern over the summer. And so I saw the flyer. I knew who Beck's was. I knew they were involved in agriculture. And the thought going through my head was, I'm pretty sure I can fake my way through that for 7 weeks. So I applied. And Scott Beck called. I remember I was in my dorm room, had a brief interview, asked me in to come to the office. You knew you were here for an interview in the office because you're the only one dressed up. And met with Gavin and the team, the IT team. And so I joined that summer as an intern. Thankfully, from a marketing perspective, I was not hired as a marketing intern. Someone else was able to put together all the marketing stuff that year. But so I got hired as an intern. Come to find out years later, I was hired because I had a broad back and I could lift things.
You're strong.
So 2001 is also when they moved office buildings, when they built what we know right now as the corporate office building. And so I helped with that. Funny story, actually. That's the reason why my email address is just brad@beckshybrids.com, is because Gavin thought I wouldn't last more than 3 weeks, and he was going to delete that out. So that was the summer of 2001. So stayed on as an intern. The other little tidbit that I like to tell of my friend Gavin is about the second week I came to him and said, hey, do you have anything for me to do? And he told me, he goes, if I have to tell you what to do, I'm going to fire you. So he gave me a very valuable piece of information. He said, find work and be busy and be valuable. So that's what I did. Found work and found ways to be valuable. And then I got out of Purdue in 2004. So got offered a full-time job. Lee Rulin hired me, and been here ever since. So
There you go.
What a journey.
That's how I ended up here.
A journey.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, from should have been fired a long time ago to still here 20-some years later.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, I thought I was going to go work for the government. I mean,
Sure.
the government recruited pretty heavily out of Purdue. And really, I didn't know the decision I was going to make back then would be an awesome one. Everybody knew about Beck's. We were much smaller back then. Jason Morehouse and I hired in on the first day in May of 2004, and I don't think any of us knew the rocket ship that we were about ready to strap ourselves to. So, started working in the IT group here, and really for the last 20 some years been shedding responsibility. So, worked being on the IT side in a growing business was a great experience. And the business grew into what it is now. And then about 3 years ago, Scott and Sonny asked if I would take on this new role as Director of Innovation. At first, I said no. I think that's the worst thing that we could do. And then they kind of came back and said, no, this is what we kind of want the role to be. So I said, sure, let's do it. Let's make some awesome things. So,
wow. Now, you're not alone in this, Director of Innovation.
Right. So
who's your partner?
Yeah. So Will Hirschfeld is my project manager. Will worked here for a number of years, left to go work in actually the 3D scanning world. And when I got this role, had the opportunity to say, I need to find somebody that balances me out. So I tend to be a bull in a china shop. I am not a detail-oriented person. I know what I want, and I can... sometimes that doesn't work very well. So I need to find somebody detail-oriented that can keep me on track, that can balance me out, and had kept in touch with Will. So when I had the opportunity, reached out to him and said, hey, I want you to come join this team in this role. And he graciously said yes. So Will and I do this. We've always had the question come up is, do we expect to become a bigger team? Mm-hmm. And actually, it's my thinking that if we're doing our job right, then we are getting leaders into the organization. And so we've had a couple interns, and I'm happy to say that some of those are not innovation department folks. That's a skill set that we have taught, and it's being pushed out to the organization in all levels. Innovation should never happen in a silo. And that's one of the reasons why I first told Scott and Sonny, no, I think that's stupid, because I've seen a lot of innovation groups where they think they have to take people out of the organization because their culture is so toxic, and they put them in a fancy room with IKEA furniture and crazy crap on the wall and think that magical unicorn ideas come blowing out the back end. And I said, I don't want to work for a company that does that. No. It needs to be, everybody from the ground up needs to know that they can force change. And so that's what we try to do every single day. So we're successful when the organization and department heads are successful.
Hey, get this man a mic so he can drop it.
Seriously.
I mean, just amen, brother. That is who Beck's and what Beck's is and what we must maintain. Yep. Because if we lose that, we're just everybody else that has gone the way of the corporate ownership method. And that's not wrong, but it's just not who we are.
Right. And, I was telling some folks just the other day, I rely a lot on my relationships that I've had the opportunity to build here at Beck's, because when you're a disruptor, not everything goes great. And so you have to use those relationships at times to be able to walk into doors where people know who you are and they know where your heart is and that you only want the best, but you might have misstumbled or made a mistake or you need to correct something. So, we're big proponents of praise in public, rebuke in private, and we try to live that out. That's how we try to hold each other accountable. So.
Amen. You've talked about your Beck family, but what about your personal family?
Yeah, so my personal family, my wife, Laura, and I, we have 4 girls in our house under the age of 13. And so we had the opportunity about 12 years ago to move back to my mom's family farm in beautiful southern Miami County. And so we have 4 girls there, and we've got a little funny farm going on there. So my girls and I have a small little show pig business, and we do some direct-to-consumer pork products. And then the girls are involved in all kinds of stuff. So we have a great time there, and I still get the opportunity occasionally to help out on the family farm. So it's a great way to still be involved. So I tell people we innovate by day, by night. I'm the best pooper scooper this side of the Mississippi. So,
nice.
Yeah. So I love talking pigs. We love to raise pigs, breed pigs, eat pigs, smoke pigs.
Well,
so
they make bacon.
They do. They make a little bit of bacon.
It's their superpower.
That's right.
What's the name?
Yeah. So our little farm is called Boiler Bacon Maker.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep. Oh yeah. And principally, what breeds are we talking about here?
So anything that makes money and shows well, but we primarily do Yorks, spots, and crossbreds. So
nice. Yep. Yeah, you can't go wrong. A good spot hog is just unbeatable in my mind.
Yep.
I can't go wrong with a good spot.
Oh yeah.
Now, color-wise, are we going more black or are they transitioning back to more white? Because for a while there were spot barrows, man, you couldn't hardly find one with white on.
Everybody likes a multicolored hog right now.
Yeah,
so the more color that you can throw, the more patterns seem to just people go nuts on. We on our farm, the girls are involved from start to finish, and so I tell people often I have livestock to help raise girls, and so they are there to help deal with all of the pairings. They help with the AI. They're there when we hang banners. They're also there when we have failure and we're dragging things out of the barn, or we are making tough decisions with our vet. Our vet was there just 2 weeks ago, and he said there's not too many places where he pulls up and girls come running out of the house because they want to, help, and they're sleeving up and doing all that work. So there is no better way, I think, as a father to be able to teach those responsibilities to your kids, and so that's a big part of what we do. So the girls are intimately involved in that. Some days they don't really want to do that at 10:30 at night when you're home from basketball and hogs need fed or something needs done in the barn. We got to go out and take care of it. There's no if, and, or but. So it's a great it's a great thing that my wife and I can do to instill those values within our children.
This isn't an opportunity that all of our listeners have had or would be able to provide their children. But if I firmly believe scooping poop, got to be careful how you say that. Scooping poop is a rite of passage for a child in America. If everybody got that chance, we would have a better world.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously not everybody does have that chance. But if you can get your kids on a farm and make them just shovel a pile of manure from one spot to the other, I don't even care if it's productive or not. It's just good for you.
Yeah, there's a bit of therapy that happens at our place when you can sit on a tractor and go clean up piles and do all that kind of fun stuff. So
it really is.
Yep.
Well, as much as you can share, tell us more about the role today and this innovation. Who do you meet with? What's a day look like for you and Will?
Yeah, that's a great question. We get the question more internally maybe than externally. What exactly is it that you do here? So
besides collect a paycheck
and eat all the food. But there's really three main pillars that we concentrate on as an innovation team. And so, as I mentioned, we really want innovation to be a part of our culture. It's one of our attitudes and actions here. So it's how all the employees are evaluated. It's how you're hired. It's how you're fired. So our first and foremost thing is that we help department managers evaluate and implement disruptive change. And so we act as really a consultant first internally. And so that means that we meet people where they're at. Sometimes we're very involved in projects. Sometimes we're a little bit involved. Sometimes people don't want us involved at all. All those are perfectly acceptable there. The second thing that we do is we interface with all the startup companies that think they want to do business with Beck's Hybrids. There's a lot of people that knock on our door and really need help navigating our business and who they should talk to and is their product valuable. We also do a lot with the universities there and some of the startup accelerators. And then the third thing that we do, and why I tell people I have the best job at Beck's Hybrids, is we really get to think about the future of agriculture. And Sonny always says we're about helping farmers succeed, and today we do that through seed sales. But we get an opportunity to think outside of that constraint and really what's going to be the future of Beck's Hybrids. How are we going to continue to serve farmers, use our strategic strengths, and still serve others? So those are kind of the three major things that we look at. So, a lot of our stuff, a lot of our projects in that third bucket are the ones that we get to choose. The other ones we don't get to choose. But the other really thing about how we choose our day and how we spend our time is that I am convinced more than ever that every part of our business is about relationships. And so I tell everybody, I will meet with you once, at least once. I will hear your crazy crackpot idea. I will talk to the crazy inventor on the other side of the world that thinks he's curing cancer with some plant. We will do that once. And it is amazing how those relationships often lead to other things. And so we spend a lot of time meeting and talking with people. That's a big differentiator too. We'll do a Zoom call. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we're really trying to look at a strategic partnership with another company, or I'm trying to understand your product or your invention, if we can sit down, have coffee, go look at it, you can build way better relationships doing that than you can just doing Zoom calls all day long. So Will and I spend a lot of time on the road right now, and it's really about meeting with people. It was a lot easier when we only sold in a 150 air mile radius around Atlanta, Indiana. But we've been blessed with that growth. We've been blessed with all of this business. So we get sucked into all kinds of things. We're at, conferences are big right now. I spent yesterday up at Purdue, learning about some things that they're doing. And so our role is to think big picture. Are these technologies applicable? If they are, how could we implement them into our pipelines, into our products, either as a value add or a standalone product? And then how can we get people to work together? And so we act kind of as that middleman, the architect and the mediator. So hopefully that answers your question.
That's beautiful.
Of exactly what it is that we do here. So
you brought up a really key point that is a fundamental pillar of what we do. When you break, a wise man once told me, when you break bread together, you break barriers together.
Yep.
And that's what you're talking about,
Yeah.
that while a Zoom call or WebEx can work, we want to do business face-to-face. It's how our customers prefer to do business today, and I don't foresee that changing anytime real soon. Yeah. I think that's going to be the way of the future for agriculture for quite some time, but you never know.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a totally different conversation when you can, there's a gentleman I met with just a couple weeks ago. I ended up going through Iowa on a quick little 2-day stint, and we just got together for breakfast just to say hi. And what came out of that was like a bunch of follow-up, but it was phenomenal in just talking about what we were working on, sharing, ways that we could collaborate, brought a new project to light that we would have never known if I just would have sent him a text message or we would have, jumped online for 30 minutes. And I think that's also the personal touch that we bring as Beck's Hybrids. That's how we ask our salespeople to show up every day. So there's no reason why internally we should focus any differently and treat our vendors and people that we want to partner with any different than how we ask our salespeople to show up.
Amen. Absolutely. What, again, keeping in mind any non-disclosure agreements that you've signed, but what is one of the more interesting projects that you're kind of stewing on?
Unfortunately, we do sign a lot of NDAs, so we can't talk about the majority of what we work on, but there's some major themes, I think, of things that get us really excited. And Will and I have been spending some time on the West Coast right now, really watching what's going on in the produce industry. If you look at the automation and mechanization of what's happening right now, it is absolutely incredible. And so as we know that farmers are going to be asked to do even more, as we look at this convergence now of robotics, computer vision, and edge computing, the human brain is still way better than any computer that we have. But the convergence of these three technologies on equipment is going to continue to feed a lot of innovation in the field. And, a lot of people don't understand that Beck's is also a large farm. And so a lot of the technology that we look at is just not for customers. It's also for Beck's and for Jason Morehouse and his team. And they're farming a lot of acres across a lot of different states. So we're really interested in that right now. Our friends on the West Coast, because of that environment, can get innovation cycles much quicker because they're growing 2.5 to 3 crops per year. So we're doing some watching right now of what's going on. And our friends at Western Grower Innovation Center are doing some amazing things. Again, building relationships with those with those folks. One other thing that we kind of do as well is we work with our friends in different states to also look at economic development opportunities. So I want you to refine your technology on the West Coast, but when you're ready to hit the broad acre and you want to get out of, strawberries, blackberries, the permanent crop market, and you want to access the corn, soybeans, and wheat market, I want you to think of Beck's Hybrids as that person that can help bring you into that market. So that's why we watch a lot of what's going on there. So that's kind of the first thing that's really neat there. The second thing is, there is a lot of really neat stuff that is going to be coming down the market from a genetic standpoint with a lot of this new DNA editing technology. And I think we heard from Scott and Sonny this last year, we're this biotech era, there's a little bit of a transition going on now into this CRISPR editing thing. There's a lot of regulation and a lot of education that still has to take place there. But there is phenomenal opportunities that are going on there. And then kind of the third thing that it seems like we've been spending a lot of time right now, been getting a lot of inbound around renewable fuels. that is a big part of what's going on in the industry right now. And how does Beck's play in that market? So those are kind of some buckets there. Part of it too is just understanding what's going on, who the players are, and is there an opportunity for us to fit or not? So
yeah, Morgan and I are really big followers of what happens in California, especially the produce market.
For sure.
And so it's hits at home.
So 3 years ago, I think I'd been to California one time, and we're there multiple times now. And again, it's about building bridges and relationships. Amen. So we kind of call them fishing trips. So we'll take a fishing trip, and in 3 days we'll meet with 12, 15, 16 companies and just say, hey, I'm Brad from Beck's. Tell me about your business. Tell me about what you're doing there. And you're just starting to build that relationship. And so we get a lot of feedback from folks that we meet with. Sometimes like they're doing something and it's like, okay, great. Like, good job. This is cool. See you later kind of thing. And then sometimes it's like, hey, we need to become best friends. And, here's a product or an idea of how we might be able to help you. So you never know what's going to come out of that. But a lot of feedback that we get is, folks from Beck's and from Indiana are the only ones doing this, and no one else is just showing up at the front door. So
that's amazing.
One other thing that I'll just kind of mention, we get the question often with an innovation group is like, do you invest in companies? And the answer is no. And so that's a little unique about us and how we approach that market. I either though want to be a customer, or I want to have the opportunity to bring you income. And so, a lot of these companies think that we're going there, well, how can we invest in you? Sure. And we don't have an investment fund, but I want to be able to bring that technology. So when that technology is ready for row crop, I want them to be thinking of Beck's hybrids so that our customers at Beck's are the first ones to be able to access that technology. We've already got all the research to go why it's valuable. We have a direct ROI with our friends at PFR, and we're really we can be viewed in that positive light and as a technology enabler, not just a checkbook.
So you are not willing to invest in Morgan and I's idea to put in a napping room in the office?
I would need to see a cash flow model on that first, but I'm probably not.
Well, the ROI has got to be really strong. Yeah. I mean, if I'm well rested, I'm a way better employee.
Well, you got to come into the office first in order for us to start talking about that. That's problem number one. Yeah.
And I can't nap in my truck.
Well, so you could.
I could, but it's the whole it doesn't drive itself thing yet. But we're getting closer.
We're getting much closer.
Yeah. And which is amazing technology too. What's going on just in the world around us to see the leaps and gains in every industry.
Yeah, and
you name it.
So you bring up a good point. We had a project that we did that was very public a couple months ago with a company called Clear Flame. We were an alpha tester on a semi truck that has been converted to run 100% ethanol. And so, the question that we get a lot around this autonomy space is, there's a big push towards electrification. And electrification in itself is not bad. But when you look at how do we replace farm implements that are 600 horse engines, like, we're still going to need liquid fuels to be able to serve that market. And so, that was an example of where, we operated as an alpha test site for about 6 weeks where our farm ran that truck. Some of the guys did want to bury me in a side ditch out back, but it was an alpha test, right? Some things went good, some things didn't go wrong. That's the whole point of an alpha test. But, our whole point in participating in that, and we got a lot of questions on what in the world are you doing testing an ethanol truck? You don't sell trucks. You're not directly involved in the ethanol business. That's really a technology enablement. So if we can help them gather data as an independent family farm, known as Beck's Hybrids, if we can help them with that, and that's going to push the demand for ethanol. We don't think that electrification is probably going to solve a lot of the problems with ag, but a liquid fuel in 100% ethanol, is a great locally grown source of fuel. We think that that's better for everybody. So those are some of the things that we kind of just get involved in that there's not maybe a direct line, but we're really helping the industry as a whole.
Not unlike our PFR team, what they research and study, it doesn't always link back directly to helping us. Most times it doesn't. It helps our customer.
Yeah, well, and Sonny's words always stick in the back of our head is just do the right thing because it's the right thing.
Yeah.
And if anything happens or any business comes of it, we'll be thankful for that. But at the end of the day, you did the right thing.
Amen.
So we try to just build into people and build that balance sheet. So, I always love in my meetings to just ask, how can I help you? and I don't need anything back from you. If I do need something, I'm not afraid to ask, but it's just, how can I help you? How can I help you build your business? How can I help you hire people, or how can I help you with product help, or what is it that you need? And if I can't do it, we're going to open up our Rolodex of everybody that we meet and say, hey, you know what? I know this dealer that is really involved in this space, or I have a friend in this business that builds wiring harnesses or whatever. So it's that connection, and that's how we can be valuable.
Okay.
Do you still have a Rolodex?
No, that's a touche, Morgan. I have my phone, and I do a lot of searching on there. Will has gotten really good at. I'm horrible with names, and so half the time it's, who was that crazy guy with the weird ball cap that we met in this state? And then he's like, "Daggone it, Brad!" And so it takes us like a couple hours to pull up. He's like, "Oh, his name was so and so." I'm like, that's it.
That's the guy.
Yeah. So we have to add an extra field for like Brad's nickname for this person. So.
Oh, that's good.
Nice.
One thing Morgan and I are looking for today is a tip on whether they're publicly traded or not. But what's the most innovative, amazing project that you've had to walk away from because it didn't fit who and what we are? But Morgan and I need to invest in it.
This sounds like insider trading. Which we do not condone. I don't.
Quit recording, but we just want a hot tip.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of things that you can throw your money into. So one of the
crypto,
one of the great, anyway, we did have we did look into crypto, and we did look at an evaluation of it, and there was no way that was going to work. But oftentimes, one of the great things that we also get to do is we've also built a lot of cool relationships with venture capital companies. Okay. So because we don't have a checkbook, we get to sit in this awesome space where with PFR, that is a very credible source out in the marketplace. And so we do get a lot of VC companies that call and say, hey, we're looking at investing in XYZ. We just want your opinion on it, right? You know that we have to have an ROI for anything to work within Beck's hybrids. So I'm going to steal this from my friend Mitch Frazier at Agronovis. It has to be net, not neat. And so we do a lot of evaluation of technology that looks super cool, right? But if there's no ROI, I'm sorry, we're going to have to walk away from this. So we get a lot of calls from venture capital that are like, hey, sounds like this is an amazing story. We're thinking about putting money into XYZ. And then we'll just say, here was our experience with it. Most of it is I'm sending them a public link from the PFR website, right? Of we did this. And then we just share our experience. Most of the time when we're testing products, it is how did they deal with failure? Because something's going to go wrong. Did they answer your call? How's the management team? How was the sales process? And so that independent viewpoint is valued really, really heavily. So I tell everybody we don't have a checkbook necessarily, but we do help match make people. So if there's a technology that we're like, this is amazing, and it's not maybe the right fit within us right now, then we can very easily say, have some other people take a look at it. Now, they just don't take our word for it, right? There's all the due diligence, and they need to be good fiduciaries of their investment models. But we found a little sweet spot there where we can very easily exchange information because we're not competitors. But because we are focused on the farmer and we are focused on driving net ROI of a farm, that is unlike what a lot of other people are doing. A lot of other people, for good reason, are testing technology. They're great researchers, and they are doing great technology research, but we have to see an ROI, or we can just shake hands and I can say, hey, thanks, we'll see you later. And unfortunately, that's where some of that product goes. So I won't share any company names, but
no hot tips.
But
sorry, Morgan.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Okay.
Wah wah.
As the director of innovation, you've got a unique look into our future. So where is Beck's in 10, 20, 50 years?
Yeah, well, so I think we are very, very blessed to work for a very generous family. And so we look forward. Our independence in the marketplace really puts us, I think, in a good spot. And farmers, as I tell people, I think like to buy from other farmers. And so I think, number one, as many of your guests have said, our culture and how we replicate that is going to be extremely important. There are lots of opportunities. Okay. One thing that I didn't mention is that I went from working in IT where you got instant feedback to being told no 99 times out of 100. But through those no's, you figure out where the yeses are and where people want to go. So I will tell you that we continue to bring new things that the company could be involved in. I think we're going to continue to serve agriculture. We're going to continue to serve agriculture well. And we have all the right parts and pieces to be able to adapt quickly. You know, Sonny always tells us we're a speedboat amongst battleships. That does mean someday you're worn out from driving all over the place, but we are very uniquely qualified to be able to meet the demands of the American farmer in the future. And I think I'm excited to know that we have parts and pieces in place that are going to be able to evaluate all those opportunities, and we're only going to do the ones that make sense for the farmer. There's a lot of, some people call it innovation theater. There's a lot of theater out there. And so there's a lot of cool things that we appreciate, but just don't get involved in because we don't think it's the right thing. So Absolutely. I don't know if that answers your question, or I just jumped on a soapbox.
But, no, that was either way. It was great.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Speaking of innovation, this is the first episode we're going to launch with a video. And so how fitting is it that we're having the director of innovation?
I did not sign the video release.
Well, this episode sponsored by Ricola, honey herb throat mints that I chew on while we do this so that, I don't dry out. But
we are not sponsored by them, by the way.
No, we're not. That was completely a joke.
For legal reasons.
For legal purposes, that was a joke. But anything else that we need to know about what's going on in innovation that would be worth hearing?
No, I mean, we are, first and foremost, we are a resource. So we love to connect with customers, dealers, salespeople, anybody that needs something, has questions, wants to chat about new technologies. Maybe they do have an investment opportunity from somebody, or there's a new product in the market. Our door is always open. I've had the same email address for 20 some years. My desk phone number and cell phone number have never changed. First and foremost, we are a resource for the family of Beck's hybrids. So please use us and abuse us. We're more than happy to connect with anybody. We would love to sit down, have lunch, have coffee, do whatever we need to help you. But as new technology comes into the marketplace, we're more than happy to help you evaluate that. So,
legitimately, your email is still Brad.
Yeah, it's still Brad at beckshybrids.com.
That's awesome.
So now, and because of my tenure in IT, I think everybody in the United States that sells IT gear and used IT gear has it. But or just call the office, ask for Brad. You'll probably get me.
They'll know.
Yeah. Yep. Your junk email has got to be pretty significant.
Yep. We try to stay on top of it.
Yep.
So.
Mine's just full of Taco Bell emails trying to give me free party packs, which I should look into.
Yeah, it's not all bad.
No. Okay, moving on.
Hey, we are going to close as we always do with our fun fast five, Brad. But
oh gosh,
are you ready?
I forgot about this.
See, I knew he didn't look prepared.
Yeah,
you could just see it.
He was prepared, but
not prepared enough.
Okay, go.
It's going to be tough. Here we go. Travel by plane or car.
Car.
Dress up or go casual.
Go casual.
Orange juice or apple juice.
Orange juice.
Freedom or hope.
Oh, man. Freedom.
Okay. Long live America.
That's right.
Time machine or magic wand?
Magic wand.
Why magic wand?
Oh, because that's the here and now.
Oh.
The time machine, you're assuming you can do something and actually change somebody's mind.
True.
Yeah.
Plus, time machines have flux capacitors that...
Yeah.
The market for those is so...
It's pretty tight.
Super slim.
Insanely slim.
And DeLoreans are hard to come by.
They are.
Yep. And
hard to keep clean.
21
I'll tell you
gigawatts.
that.
Yeah, for sure. Amen. Yeah. Well, Brad, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
We hope to have you back in the future because there'll be more innovation, I'm sure, to come.
There will be.
From the innovation squad. Are you a squad or a team?
We'll go with team. How's that?
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Morgan, anything I missed today?
I'm good.
Okay.
No. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming, Brad.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you again to all our listeners for joining us today on Across the Acres, where our goal is to connect, challenge, and inspire each and every one of you by interviewing others who have a story or a message to share. Again, it's been a privilege to have you along, and if you have thoughts or comments on who we should interview next, please reach out to us at edu@beckshybrids.com. That's EDU, short for education, at beckshybrids.com. Thanks again for listening, and we will catch you next time across the acres.